everybody, thanks for coming to check out today's video. I am going to be doing another art sculpture lawn ornament project today. I'm going to be using a bunch of old race car parts to make a abstract hummingbird. Hopefully it makes sense at the end. It's going to look a little weird, so let me show you how I did it.
So my plan was just to make a hummingbird, but then I realized, what am I going to do with it? Am I going to put a chain on it, hang it from something? I didn't like any of the ideas I came up with, so I decided that I was just going to make a big metal flower for the hummingbird to be feeding on, and hopefully that it'll all balance nicely and it won't just instantly tip over because I used too small of a base. But if I get all of the actual angles right, it should hold itself up just fine. But I really won't know until I get there later, so I'm going to finish making the head of the flower, then I'm going to grab some rebar and make the stem. I got a big 1/2-inch round drop piece. Right there. You can see it right there in the back. I got that from a buddy who works for a metal shop as a burn table operator, and he saves these for me once in a while, so I have some good stands laying around. I'm going to finish cutting off the extra from the rebar that I'll be using for the stem, give it one little bit of adjustment so I can get the angle that I am looking for. Now I'm going to tack the rebar stem to the back of the flower, and then I'm hoping that I tack the actual flower to the base in hopefully the right spot, so once I put this big old bird on the top of it, it still has balance and won't just topple over. But I truly won't know until I get there later. I wanted to put some leaves on the flower, obviously, otherwise it would look real boring. So I grabbed some large washers and some smaller diameter rebar, put a little bit of a bend into the washers, keeping the flower itself a little simpler since I am going to be putting a good amount of detail into the actual hummingbird. Oh yeah, if you didn't notice, we switched to Giant's view a little bit ago. I was in the middle of saying something, so I didn't bring it up, but I've already explained this and you know what I'm doing. So, hey look, Giant's view. Ooh, yeah, nobody cares. Let's move on to actually putting the leaves onto the flower. That'll wrap up the flower, so then I can finally start moving on to building the actual hummingbird. With the flower all done, I decided to pick it up right after welding it, and I burned my finger a little bit. So, PSA, don't grab onto metal when it's hot. I am taking the head of a pickaxe and I'm gonna cut one of the points off, and that is what I'll be using for the beak of my actual hummingbird. For the rest of the head and body, I'm using a few jam nuts and a couple 3/8 ball bearings for the eyes. I'll use a 3-inch hollow steel ball for the actual head, and then the rest of the body will be timing gears. Also a taper cone bearing at the back end, just to give it a hopefully slightly more natural look. But how natural could this really look? I'm making a bird out of a bunch of old car parts. It doesn't have to look real, it just has to hopefully look cool at the end. So we're gonna keep moving on. when I got to the end of actually putting the body together, I didn't like how the end was such a large diameter hole. So I grabbed a smaller roller bearing to soak up some of the gap in the back, just so I had a nice place to tack all of my tail feathers on later. But right now we are going to switch back to Giant's view so I can give you a nice close-up look on how I actually attach the eyes. Since the steel ball is quite thin, I didn't want to burn through a whole bunch, so instead of just putting a bead all the way around on the eyes and the beak, I am just going to tack everything all the way around so I don't end up having to chase a burn through on either the eyes or the beak, because it'll add a bunch of time to this project that I don't want to have to deal with. With the body all done, I am now going to move on to making all the tail feathers for my Hummingbird. I am going to be using a bunch of valve springs from whatever engine that they came out of, but I am going to get them all really hot and pull them out to try to keep that curl, but obviously make them longer and more ornate. This honestly is my favorite part of this build. I don't know why, but I just really enjoyed heating up all of these springs and just pulling them all out. I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. Don't judge me, it's the simple things in life that really make life worth living. Sorry, I couldn't even get through that sentence before it made me laugh. Now that I have all the tail springs done, it's time to start tacking them all onto the backside of the Hummingbird. This is why I wanted to add that roller bearing in earlier, because if I would have left it just as the taper cone bearing, it would have been hard to get all of the tail feathers in the small space that I wanted it to be. So using that small roller bearing really made it easy for me, giving me a larger surface to actually tack all of the tail feathers on. With a little adjustment to them, I'll probably have to go back later and bend them a little bit more just to make them the way I want. But they're all on, and I can now move on to attaching the Hummingbird to the flower that I made earlier. I did cut off a bit of the point on the beak. If I would have left it the way it was, I wouldn't have had enough surface area to ensure that the entire structure of the bird would actually stay attached to the flower. So I cut a little bit off just to give it a little more surface area. The last step to today's build, I am going to be making the wings for my Hummingbird. I used a timing chain for the actual frame of the wings, we'll call it. Just cut it in half, and each half is relatively long enough that I felt that it'd be good enough for a wing. I am then going to add a row of spark plugs as my feathers for the wing. I wasn't quite sure how I felt about this when I had the idea. Honestly, I thought it was gonna look awful, but after putting them together, I'm pretty happy with them. It's different, hopefully a little unique, and at the end of the day, the person I made this for really enjoys it, so if you don't like it, go down in the comments and cry about it. Ooh, I'm feeling a little feisty today, and I get to take it out on all of you, and that's a lot of fun, not gonna lie. Alright, so the last step that I have to do for this build, I am going to tack the wings on. When I'm done with that, then I will go clean it, get it ready for paint. I am gonna paint this one, but it wasn't a intricate ordeal like the anglerfish was. But if you like seeing the paint process, let me know down below, and then I will definitely think about adding it to future videos. Thank you for coming to check out this video today. I truly appreciate it. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Enjoy some of that sweet B-roll.